Politics may be one of the biggest conversations online, and one of the topics experts are most afraid of touching. You may worry about alienating clients, attracting angry comments, or being labeled partisan. But when an election centers on healthcare, education, technology, business, or housing, it may also create an opportunity for you to help people understand an issue connected to your expertise. In less than 10 minutes, you'll experience what it's like to hash out stories in a newsroom. This is Think Like a Producer. Here's the news. According to the National Conference of State Legislators, Oklahoma holds its runoff primary August 25th. Now, by the time you're watching this, that runoff is probably long over, but it's a prime example of political stories that you could weigh in on. After Oklahoma, Massachusetts votes September 1st, New Hampshire September 8th, Rhode Island the 9th, Delaware September 15th. Then the November general election is scheduled for November 3rd. There's a lot of time here. And even if you're watching this 2 years from now, in 2028, what I have to offer you in this conversation will still be valid then. You don't have to predict who will win or tell people how to vote to use the news. Let's take the primaries into our editorial meeting. The first question, what part of the election does our audience need help understanding? The second part, who has the experience that we need to explain that? And that's where you come in. Our first angle is the election process. The Oklahoma State Election Board explains that when no candidate receives a majority in the party primary, the two candidates receiving the most votes advance to a runoff. The board also says Oklahoma uses modified closed primaries for the 2026 and 2027 elections. None of the recognized parties have opened their primaries to independent voters. That may sound procedural, but it creates questions voters need answered. Why is there a runoff? Who can participate? What happens after the runoff? Now, if you can explain that, you should, because the guest I would book is an election law attorney, election administrator, or civic education expert. And if that's your expertise, your content could be something like this. Oklahoma is holding a runoff primary, but not every voter can participate in every race. Here's how the system works and what happens next. That could be your hook. You're not endorsing anyone. You are just trying to reduce confusion. You want to lean into the news, share your expertise, pour into your audience, and prove your value. Our second angle, the voter behavior. And that's when I'm going to turn to LinkedIn for some social media posts that can help inspire you with your thought leadership. Bradley Ward has a doctorate in public policy analysis, and he compared the turnout in Oklahoma's 2018 and 2026 Republican gubernatorial primaries. Using data he attributed to the Oklahoma State Election Board, Ward reported that statewide turnout declined by approximately 50,000 votes, or 10.98%. Ward reported that turnout declined by 20% across Oklahoma's 16 metropolitan counties, while increasing by more than 16% across its 54 rural counties. This is what it means to think like a producer. The election result is the headline, the geographical difference is his angle. Now, the guest I would book is a political scientist, a public policy analyst, or a rural economy expert who can help explain what may be driving this difference that he reported. Notice the word may. The numbers establish a pattern. They do not by themselves prove why the pattern occurred. That distinction is essential for credible thought leadership. And there are many people who have showed up on social media sharing a point of view like he has and landed press. So if that's a goal of yours, take this as a sign you need to start showing up. Our third angle is finding the issue inside the election that connects directly to your work. Another post from LinkedIn, this by the Center for Democracy and Technology Policy analyst Isabella Linzer, used the 2026 midterms to discuss how voters are increasingly accessing information through generative AI. Her post highlighted research about algorithm poisoning, vulnerabilities in election information, and what AI developers can do about them. Lindsay did not post a general opinion about which candidates should win. Instead, she found the technology and information integrity angle, connected it to her professional expertise, and voila, created some thought leadership. The guest I would book on this angle, if I were interested, is maybe an AI governance expert, an election information specialist, or a fact checker. And I would ask, what happens when voters ask a chat bot instead of visiting an official election website? Also, How do we make reliable election information easier for AI systems to even find? Another thought, and what should voters do before trusting an AI-generated answer? An expert in this field should lean in. You could frame it like this. AI may be changing how voters find election information. Before relying on a chatbot for voting instruction, verify these 3 details with your state or local election office. That joins the political conversation while providing a specific public service. The producer's angle is this. You do not have to become a political commentator to use election news. Explain the process, analyze verified data, correct confusion, or identify the parts of the story your professional expertise can help people understand, like I'm doing. Politics provides the timely conversation. Your expertise determines whether your contribution is useful. I'm Jamie Maglietta. This is Think Like a Producer, and I've spent more than 20 years inside national newsrooms deciding which stories and which experts make air. Now through On-Cam Ready, I help experts, authors, entrepreneurs, and business leaders find their angles, communicate confidently, and build their visibility strategically. And it leads to clients, speaking engagements, and press. If you need help developing your message, becoming stronger on camera, or turning your expertise into strategic content, visit my website, oncamready.com. I offer media training, media readiness support, and production. And be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel where I offer additional resources and tutorials. If you're listening on your podcast platform of choice, I hope you'll give us a follow and leave a comment or a review. Remember, use the news, find your angle, and produce your authority.